does it feel to be part of the Battle of Ontario for the first time in over 20 years?
Yeah, I think it's great. I think rivalries obviously are what playoffs are great, regardless of who's playing. But when you can have a rivalry that's has got a history like this does, and I think it's great for the province. I think it's great for the game. I had a chance to watch battles of Alberta, a Battle of Alberta back in the day. So I think it's great. I think it's great for the province. Two good teams going at it, so it should be a lot of fun.
Pretty impressive stretch drive for the group. In what ways do you think the team is better prepared for a playoff push this year versus last?
Well, I like how we're going in. I think certainly in I think it's last stretch or probably the last 6 weeks, I really liked how our game is. And it's not just the results, right? Like the results are great, but it's sort of the process of getting to the results. So that's certainly been, I like where our team's at right now. As far as I know there's always lots of talk on the outside of what's different, what's the same, and the past. The past is the past. This is a different group. Every year there's new people. Every year you've got experiences from the year past. So that's what we're focused on right now. Is we're focused on this group of players, the things that we've done here this year, and all that now gets parked. You say at the beginning of the season, everybody starts from zero. It's the same thing now. Everything that's happened in the 82 games is to prepare you for what's coming next, but none of it is relevant, and none of it gives you any kind of leg up starting Sunday. So what's happened before is what's happened before, and now we're ready to let a new chapter.
What's your biggest challenge going to be?
Well, the biggest challenge is you're playing a really good team, so there's lots of challenges. They're a really good team, so you just go right through it. Lots of skill up front, lots of depth up front. Really good blue line, mobile. They move pucks. Depth scoring. They've got top players. They play hard, well coached. I think the biggest thing. I know Travis, and he's really instilled a real defensive conscience of checking. They check, and to have success, you have to check, and they do. And then you've got a Vezina goaltender in the net, so they present a lot of challenges.
Are all the players that were injured from Pacioretty onto the guys you lost down the script? Will they all be available for game one?
We'll see come game on.
How would you describe the emotions of Battle of Alberta, and what sort of parallel do you think you're expecting?
Sorry?
The emotions living through a Battle of Alberta, and what sort of parallel do you think could be seen here?
I think they're all the same, like those rivalries, right? Those long-standing rivalries. You look back and you look at the old footage of those Battle of Albertas, and you look at the old footage of the Battle of Ontario. Now the game's changed a little bit, right? But I think it's high emotion, great fan bases. What makes it great is just the investment, right? The investment the fans make, the investment the players make. We all know playoffs, everything goes to a different level from like the biggest difference, it's just the emotional investment. And I think when you get a rivalry like this, and it's been a while, right, since the two teams have played in the playoffs. There's just a great investment from everybody, both involved and everybody around it. So it makes it real fun.
You've had 6-ish weeks now with Brandon Carlo as part of the team. I'm wondering what you've seen from him in his brief time in Toronto.
You know what, Chris? I think I would just say he's sort of come as advertised, right? He's on the ice, he's a big, long guy, and we've talked a lot about it. They're just harder to get around. He's a sticky player. He's got reach. He's got length. The way he clears the front of the net. Simple puck mover. So I think his game is sort of as advertised, and then always the unknown when you bring in is the fit, right? How it's all going to fit, and I think he's fit seamlessly. You know, I think him, not only just him and Morgan, but down the stretch here we've had guys out, and you know, he's fit with different people. He's become a really important player, and we've added a really elite teammate. You know, and you already talked to the guys in there. And we knew that going in. You know, the people in Boston talked about how great of a guy he was. You guys have had a little chance to get to know him. Just a wonderful person. So I think it's been a real good fit.
Anthony Stolarz has finished really well. 3 shutouts in 4 games, 8 wins in a row. What's your level of confidence he's going to be able to continue what he's put together really all season long in the playoffs, despite his lack of playoff experience?
Yeah, I know everybody talks about lack of playoff experience, and what's the old line? Experience is really important unless you don't have it, right? He's a good goalie. You know, he's just a really good goalie, and I think our goaltending, you know, both goalies has been the strength of our team this year. So, you know, we've got full confidence in both, but certainly Stoley down the stretch. Both guys down the stretch have been real good, but he's had a good run here. You know, he got a chance to see it firsthand last year. So, listen, it's the stakes are bigger and all the rest of it, but it's the same rink and it's the same. You know, it's the same game in starting Sunday as he's been through. You know, before. So we've got all the confidence in the world in him and Joe, and they've shown that it's earned, right? It's been earned because they played well.
A couple of guys playing solid hockey down the stretch are Nick Robertson and Pontus Holmberg. There's some lineup decisions as some guys come back into the lineup. So what do you take about the way they've been making their case to stay in there?
Yeah, I think you know, especially we talked about this last stretch. It's been we've had a lot of participants, right? It hasn't just been 1, 2, or 3 guys. It's been everybody, and that's what you need at this time of the year. You need, you know, everybody says, you know, you talk about depth scoring, and that's certainly true. But you need a lot of participants, you know, doing all sorts of different jobs. So they've certainly played well. I think that line has been the last little bit, I think, a solid line. So, you know, I know Craig and the coaches will have lots of discussion here over the course of the next couple of days, but you know, at the end of the day, you need lots of guys available. Bumps and bruises are going to happen, so I think we're, you know, certainly those 2 guys and others have been a real big part of, you know, the last month here.
The numbers suggest it's been a down season for Auston, but what has stood out to you about how he's come through the injury, been the captain of this team, led the group to a division title?
Yeah, I mean, a down year. I mean, we talk about a down year because he didn't score 69 goals, right? I think he's led our team. We've talked a little bit about a change in some tweaks in how we play. I think Auston has been front and center of leading that way. I think he's an elite 2-way number 1 centerman in the league, you know, and when, you know, just the evolution of Auston. Everything gets talked about is goal scoring, and it should. I mean, he shoots it in the net as good as anybody, but what he does away from the puck, you know, sets the standard for everybody else. You know, the way he checks, and so the numbers. You know, I know we can say, okay, his goal scoring may be down. I think his game, his overall game, is as good as I've ever seen it. Now, I've seen him for 2 years now, and he's been a top player ever since I got here, and long before that. But just the way he sets the standard for how we have to check and play 200 feet of the ice, he's set the standard for us.
What are your expectations for how far this team should go?
We're going to worry about Sunday, Luke, and like I said, we really like where our team's at right now, but we're all starting at the same starting line here. We've got a very difficult opponent, and every team is good going into the playoffs. So we've got a big challenge ahead of us, and our focus is Sunday and getting off to a start on Sunday. And like I said, you're going to have highs and lows in the series. It's just being steady at the wheel, managing those, the momentum both ways, and get ready to get going.
Scott Lawton, what do you?
We got time for one more. What do you made of how Mitch Marner's handled everything this year, and what that might do for him going into the playoffs this year with the expectations around him?
I think Mitch has had a fabulous year. Again, what certainly and deservedly so gets the press is the points, right? He finished 102 or 3 points. So that's great. But again, how Mitch has played away from the puck, how Mitch is. I think that was Mitch running around. It sounds like he's got clogs on. And but there was a stretch. We as you guys all know, we've had a lot of injuries, right? There was a stretch where we had a lot of guys out. I think it was November, maybe December, and Mitch really held the fort for us, right? Like he I just remember the Edmonton game stands out, right? The overtime winner. But there was a stretch there where he really he kept things on the rails for us, and to me that's sort of a microcosm of his year. He's been a leader. He's been a top player, and I think he's in a real good spot.